Hello, I am Brilliant and welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me today. This is Period Talk episode 4, done a little differently. It's a chit chat whilst I get this makeup look done. I hope you guys enjoy it and that you learn something. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys a few things, about 2 things that I learned on my first time using tampons. So yeah, I hope you find it insightful and that if you've never used tampons before, this episode convinces you to try them out. So let's get ready. So I'm just going to start by showing you guys which tampons I tried out. I got these little LEDs, Smart Fit 10 tampons, and they are super, which was mistake number 1, but I'll tell you all about that. And then these are non-applicator tampons. So initially I didn't understand what non-applicator tampons are, but I did do some research, and then I found that there are some tampons that come with an applicator. It could either be plastic or cardboard, and it helps you to insert them. It works more like a syringe. I don't know how best I can explain it, but if you know how a syringe works, that you can just push like this. Yeah, it works something like that, or at least from what I gathered about applicator tampon. So firstly, I think that I just decided to use tampons on the wrong day, which is mistake number 2. Remember, I mentioned that I bought super, which is mistake number 1, and then number 2, using them for the first time on the wrong day. That was mistake number 2. I decided to use them on the first day of my cycle, of my menses, of which the first day is usually the most difficult because I get to have period cramps. Sometimes there are extremes, sometimes they just light. But on this particular day, for some weird reason, they decided to be really bad. If you go back to Period Talk episode 1, you remember that I said something about how our levels of stress and anxiety and mental health affect how we PMS, affect our PMS symptoms and things like that. And I think at that particular time, that is what may have been happening to me. So I then decided to use tampons on that particular day, and boy, it was uncomfortable. So firstly, I think because I bought super instead of regular or even light, the amount, because I have a very light floor, so the amount of discharge that I had and the level of absorbency of my tampon were a complete mismatch. So as a result, it meant that I get to be absolutely completely dry because the absorbency is high and the discharge is low because I have a very light floor sometimes, or rather specifically on the first day, and that made the whole experience uncomfortable. But more so, I think that I am to blame because I was so conscious, like so conscious of the fact that I'm wearing a tampon, and I was conscious of how I sit. I was conscious of how I am breathing, because what if it just pops out? Which is very funny and weird because it wouldn't. Firstly, when you're using tampons, especially for the first time or even any other time, you ought to buy an absorbency that is lower than your floor, and that also helps you to remember to change your tampon, because for some people, they experience a level of comfort to an extent that they forget that you can forget that you are wearing a tampon, and that will end up having you that will make you end up spending longer hours than is recommended with just one tampon before changing it, because you feel extremely comfortable if you get to use a higher absorbency. Because if you use a lower absorbency, by the time it gets full, you start to feel that it's now full, and you remember that you need to change it. And just like pads, tampons are, it's recommended for you to wear them between 4 and 8 hours and nothing above 8 hours. So you will want to make sure that you change them at the right time and the right hours. So for my first trial, when I wore it for about 5 hours, because I really just wanted to test and see how absorbent they can be and how comfortable it is to have one tampon on for about 5 hours. And even though I was very conscious of the fact that I'm wearing a tampon because it was my first time, and I was just nervous, and I was just like, okay, every time I laugh I need to hold back my breath so that I don't push it down and push it out and things like that. Also then got to look around in terms of hygiene, because with pads it's a whole different situation. I think that what I'm doing here on my eyes is also a whole actual mess. Oh my god, what am I doing? Anyway, I'm sticking to my mess. I am quite confident that something nice is going to come out of here, guys. Don't judge. So I was saying that with pads it's a whole different situation, because the pads are absorbing the discharge once it is out of your vaginal wall or your vaginal cavity or something like that. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. But what I just mean is that once your discharge or your menstrual flow is out of your vaginal walls or your vaginal cavity, then it goes onto your pad. And because of that, it means that all the discharge is just on the outside of your vagina, right? Yes, it is creating a very warm environment for bacteria and all of that, but it is on the outside, and that is a bit of a better case than it is with tampons. I was reading about toxic shock syndrome, because I had always wondered how it gets to happen. And in as much as it is very rare, it does still happen to some women. Here's the important reason why you need to use a lower absorbency. Like I mentioned earlier, you're using a lower absorbency so that you don't forget and stay for too long with one tampon, because you feel so comfortable and you feel like everything is still fine. When you use a lower absorbency, it gets full and you start to feel it within the right amount of hours. However, when you stay for longer hours, like longer than 8 hours with one tampon, because you forgot or because you're just so comfortable and you feel that like you don't really need a change yet, you create that environment for bacteria, and that bacteria is what then causes toxic shock syndrome. So basically, toxic shock syndrome is a condition that is resulting from an infection by a certain type of staphylococcus bacteria, and that bacteria can develop when you are using tampons. So that's why it's important for you to not keep your tampon on for longer hours than recommended, which is between 4 to 8 hours. And yeah, but on overall, I think that I am still going to try out using tampons again, because I actually used them for just once. I used them once. I used one, and then when I changed it after like 5 hours, I went right back to pads. And like I said, I think that I just had like terrible timing because I was experiencing menstrual cramps, and that coupled with the discomfort and the consciousness of knowing that I'm wearing a tampon and wondering if it's sitting well, if I'm supposed to be feeling it, because I was actually feeling it, but that could also have been in my head. But it could have been in my head because I was just so conscious of the fact that I am wearing a tampon. So this foundation that I am using has like this warm undertone, and I don't have a warm undertone because I feel like I am going to be very bronzy and brown after I'm done with this foundation. So the reason why I'm saying that I actually am going to try them again is because I don't think I gave them like a fair chance, which is why I'm giving them a 6 out of 10. I think overall they are convenient because they're just convenient. I still don't know if that mess on my eyes is coming out right. What do you guys think? I feel like it's just some type of way. I mean, for those of you guys that have used tampons, like, just share your experiences so that we know. In terms of what I did, I think that my considerations were lacking in terms of the fact that I didn't get a lower absorbency. I've already explained that, and I think also in terms of the fact that I used them on my first day, which was like a really difficult day because I was PMSing really bad and I had like really serious cramps that made the discomfort to be much more. So what do you guys think? Like, I should have considered more? For anyone who wants to try them out, I would recommend that you try them out on maybe like your second day, or if you're not the type of person who like has serious cramps on their first day, you can just like really give it a try. I think that tampons have the potential to really be comfortable and, like I've been saying, very convenient. So yeah, I will still try them out again. What other considerations do you guys think I should like look at? I've already said what I think, and I would love for you guys to share with me what other considerations that you think I should make. Did somebody say anything about making a mess? Like, look at that, just look at it. Also guys, this is like literally the first time that I feel like I have really enjoyed winged eyeliner. I really do winged eyeliner. I really enjoy it. I really like it, but I am liking this one today, and this is the actual definition of the fact that makeup is not perfect, and most importantly, trust the process, darling. Okay. This brings us to the end of this video, this chit chat, this episode. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for indulging me, and I hope that you did learn a thing or two. And if you've never tried tampons before, I hope you're going to try them too and share your experience with us. If you are already using tampons and you feel extremely comfortable with them, I hope you can also share your experience with me, and you know, some things that I need to consider as well to make my experience much more comfortable than the initial one. I feel happy, guys. I'm so happy with this makeup look. Makeup makes me happy, literally. So I'm gonna have a moment to myself after this. I hope that you take care of yourself and you stay safe.